職で2階級特進、ヒューズ准将か。私の下について助力すると言っていたやつが上に行ってどうする。
It feels weird to be making this video only 2 weeks after Battlefield 2042's release. And even though I am a supporter of the game and think the game plays great, guys, this shit failed. This is on Cyberpunk 2077 levels of unexcused failure. Mostly negative reviews on Steam is not easy to come back from, if even possible at all. This is the worst Battlefield launch there's ever been. And even though there have been some terrible launches, this one is the most detrimental to the game's long-term success because I don't think it will recover. There are too many foundational systems in place in Battlefield 2042 that most of the fans don't like. And because the game is built around these systems, it'll never really change. One of these things being the size of the maps. People are complaining about having to run 2 minutes before even encountering an enemy. And it's facts, man. I mean, the maps are too big with not enough cover, making them almost uninteresting and uninspired. And because of these massive open fields in every map, vehicles become strong as hell. Helicopters, tanks, they have a field day because you're in a field. But it's too late. These maps are already made. They're not going to go back and redo all 7 maps that dropped at launch. This is what we're working with now. And hopefully the maps that they add in the future, don't follow this formula, but they're going to have to. You know why? 128 players. When you think of a city map in Battlefield, you think of really condensed streets, skyscrapers, buildings you can enter. A map like Dawnbreaker from Battlefield 4 is a great example. This map offered immersive urban combat. You know what Battlefield 2042 has? Hourglass. This map takes an urban city environment and just turns it into the rest of the game. Open fields, sand dunes, no cover, just a crusty ass city, bro. Dry ass streets. Now the reason that this happens and all the maps are kind of like this is because of 128 players. The maps can't be nearly as complex as they used to be or have too many entities, too many buildings, because it'll just crash everyone's game. The structures in the game are really only on the points, the objectives, because if they were everywhere, it would just be too much for most people's systems to handle. I've talked about in previous videos how destructible environment has been toned down a lot, a ton, guys. This is for the same exact reason, 128 players. If 64 on 64 people were blowing up buildings, everything flying, parts going everywhere, it's too much to handle. You have to tone it down. The game needs to have these wide open spaces to make sure that not everyone's congested in the same place. This is likely why we haven't seen a map like Operation Metro or Operation Locker that's all indoors in Battlefield 2042, because it would just be too hectic to have everyone in this same building. It has to be spread out. And when you ask yourself, why did DICE do that? Why did DICE do this for Battlefield? It usually comes right back to 128 players being the base problem. I'm starting to ask myself, would it have been better if they, maybe did 40 on 40, 45 on 45? Maybe if the player count was toned down a little bit, we'd see kind of the familiar Battlefield we used to see. And Portal Mode has proven that it can be that. But really, the game failed because of its just atrocious amount of bugs. This game was simply not finished, bro. They just did not put the time in to make sure it was polished, and it showed. It really did. They've released 3 updates since the game's launch, and all of them have only created more issues. Yes, they did fix weapon bloom. Yes, they did fix some of the things with vehicles and weapon balance. But every time I hop on, I am always finding new bugs that are interfering with my gameplay. And it's unacceptable from a Battlefield game. It really is. To pay $60, me paying $80 for the gold edition, I feel like I am simply just a beta tester who got the game early. There are 3 types of people. People who are playing Battlefield 2042 and enjoying it, people who bought Battlefield 2042 but are simply waiting for it to be fixed, and lastly, people who refunded the game and will never purchase it. The last 2 groups make up the majority of people's thoughts on Battlefield 2042. This is supposed to be one of the biggest FPS shooter franchises in the world, and yet Gary's mod in Stardew Valley are competing with it on Steam charts. What a flop, what a letdown, countless problems that I can't even go over in 3 videos, and we all know that this was Battlefield's last chance. Battlefield 5 wasn't a great game. It also had a harsh launch. It also wasn't that good of a game. Battlefield needed 2042 to keep the franchise above water, but now, since it basically failed, I don't know if the franchise has a future anymore. It's an unfortunate story, but it happened, and now we just have to keep moving on with our lives, I guess. Guys, do you care that Battlefield died, or do you want to see it revived? Do you hope that this game comes back to life? Let me know down below in the comments, and as always, guys, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. I'm Treyllo, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
I've been running through the streets, smoking on my own gas, pedal to the floor.